Hi, welcome back to A Spiritual Life. My name's Carrie, I'm a mindfulness teacher, and I'm here to help you move from your head to your heart, to move from surviving to thriving, and to live a more conscious spiritual life. Today, in this video, we'll be talking about balance. So what balance is, our perceived problems with this, and also how mindfulness can help. So let's dive in. All right, so let's start with balance. Balance is a state of equilibrium. That's a hard one to say, equilibrium. And when we think of balance, it's what comes to mind are scales, right? So we've got perfectly aligned scales, we've got out of sync scales. And when we talk about balance, we tend to think of like work-life balance, don't we? And having all your ducks in a row, all the plates spinning, all these analogies, right, about having our life in balance. When I wrote this a while ago, a few years ago, I was always under the impression that life should be in balance as best you can. Mindfulness helps to do that. That's what we're going to talk about today. But I did come to a bit of a realization, which I'll talk a bit more at the end as we close all this, is to just be a bit more lenient around this. Because balance is hard. It really is hard. But mindfulness will help feel into that. So we're going to come on to that. But first of all, what balance is. So balance is a state of equilibrium. And we have balance in all of areas of our life. It's in nature, it's in everything. So Taoism, it's actually said Taoism with a T, that's how we say it, is a Chinese philosophical tradition. And you might know that of the yin-yang symbol. The yin, the dark, the night, and the yang, the light, the day. And how it balances. We also get that, I haven't written that down, but we also get it with masculine and feminine. So the energies complement each other, and how, in life, if we've got a strong relationship, we both, the masculine and the feminine, balance each other out. And we have masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. It's not gender specific. So it's important to notice it again in relationships, how they can be out of balance sometimes. You, in your own masculine and feminine energies, can be out of balance. And again, mindfulness helps us tune into that. So everything is cyclical. So it's in balance when it's cyclical. We've got night follows day, winter, then we've got spring and summer and autumn. So all the seasons are cyclical. The change occurs naturally in nature and in our lives. Yeah. So that's just a brief introduction into what balance is. And now we're going to look at the perceived problems with this. We're going to start down here with this phrase, this too shall pass. The good and the bad. This too shall pass, the good and the bad. Now you might be thinking, yeah, we all want the bad to go. Yeah, this too shall pass. Come on, bad stuff, go. Let's bring on more good stuff. But the good stuff's going to go too. Yeah? The good stuff is going to go too. And it's that acceptance around that. And the previous video I did was on acceptance. I'll link all these videos in at the end. So if you haven't watched the one on acceptance, this links in really well. So yeah, this good and bad, that it should all pass. Mindfulness teaches us not to be too tight and not too loose. Not grasping, not having no intention. So it's when the good stuff comes and the pleasant stuff comes in our life, we grasp to it. Oh, this, don't let this ever go, don't let this ever go. But if we can't, so we're grasping too tight, right? So if this pleasant feeling, experience, whatever we're having, and we accept that it isn't going to last forever, we can loosen the grip on it. And then when it does go, it doesn't have as bigger impact on us. And likewise, the unpleasant stuff. If we're too loose on the hold of it, we're not accepting of that being in our lives in this present moment. And we're pushing it away, we're resisting it, we're pushing it away. Get out of my life, I don't like this experience. But with mindfulness, we hold gently to it, knowing that this too shall pass for this experience as well. So our perceived problem then is that we grasp too tight at the pleasant and we're too loose and resisting on the unpleasant. That's the problem, in essence, in a nutshell. We're going to dive into that a little bit more. Yeah, there's a little quote on this by James Barraz, and he says, mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different. Enjoy the present moment without holding on when it changes, which it will. Being with the unpleasant without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't. Okay, so self-compassion. Do we have balance? Do you have balance around self-compassion? That thing where we put on our own oxygen mask before others, that's giving yourself what you need before you can give to others. That's self-compassion. It might be about boundaries. It might be about your self-care routine. What is it you need to be compassionate to yourself with, so that then you can help others? So it's not selfish. You're giving yourself something so you can give to others. I've always heard the phrase, you can't pour from an empty cup. But there was another phrase I came to recently, and I can't remember it word for word. And it was something like, fill your cup so you can overflow and give it to others. I like that one. That was a different way of looking at it. Overflow your own self-compassion so you can give it to others. So you've got more than enough for yourself and you can give it to others. I like that analogy. All right, so we're used to not giving ourselves enough, and you might be used to hearing, give yourself some more, okay? What if the balance tips out of sync? So you've gone from not giving yourself enough to you're getting in balance, you've given yourself some self-care. What if it goes the other way? What if it tips the balance the other way, and you end up can you have too much self-compassion? Is there a line? Do we cross it? I think I did. So here's my example. I've had burnout in the past when I worked in the NHS, and I was aware of all this. People are talking to me, any therapist I went to at the time or whatever would say about self-compassion, filling yourself up, blah, 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 blah. And now that sticks. I've got that so cemented in there that I'm very aware, like the mindfulness does this anyway, doesn't it? But so I'm really aware of when these scales are tipping for me. And I cling on to that self-care now. I'm gripping, probably a bit too tight than I should, to the detriment of others sometimes, because I'm in fear of burning out again. It usually boils down to anything when we're out of sync. Anything when we're out of sync is usually because we're in fear of something, when you get to the crux of it. So I'm in fear of burning out again because it wasn't a good place to be in, and I'm resisting that and pushing it away. So then when I feel like I'm out of sync and I need to get more self-care, I'm all about self-care. My blinkers are on. I'm all about me. To the detriment of those around me. I will literally physically push people away and say, no, my time, my time. That's not healthy either. So now I've got to come back to balance, to take the blinkers off and say there are other people around me that need me, but I need me too, and it's getting that balance. Now when I say balance, it's not going to be like this all the time. Okay, it's all right if it's a little bit tilted either way. We just try and prevent it hitting the floor on either side. Yeah. So when we're in that space, it's about ego, self-preservation, survival, because that fear's come up in your body. And another one, this is a topic in itself. This is attachment. We can love someone without being attached. Let that sink in a bit. We can love someone without being attached. I am going to do a talk specifically on attachment because it's a huge topic to get our heads around. But this quote is, Jim, you'll have heard of this. If you love someone, you need to set them free. If you love someone, you need to set them free. Or maybe it doesn't go like that quite so much. If you love someone, set them free and they'll come back. Something along those lines, isn't it? And that's about setting people free, allowing them to do their thing, as well as be with you. And when you've got that balance where you're not too tight, grasping and hanging on to the relationship and to that person for all your needs, you can let go a little bit, let them be free in what they do, you're free in what you do, and you will find that love reciprocate more because they've not felt claustrophobic and tight, because you've allowed the freedom. They actually love you more for it. One of the things I remember is I needed some time, back to the self-compassion, so I needed some time out. My husband, I'm going back at least 3 or 4 years ago, my husband wanted to go to some camping trip, Land Rover thing. I think we'd just been camping, and I was like, I don't want another one. If you want to go, you go and take our little one, because we only had one at the time. And so he took himself and my daughter away for the weekend, which was great for me to have that breather and come back into balance and have that self-compassion. But it was really interesting because he put pictures of him and his daughter, our daughter, online, and then a lot of our friends and family like, is everything all right? You know, you're not together? Like, are you okay? Are you two okay? You've not fallen out? And it's just like, really? Can we not do things apart anymore? Do we have to be in each other's pockets to love and express, to show and express our love for each other? We don't need that. And actually, when you set people free, they do come back, and that love is strong, and you've got more to communicate with. It's like if you're with someone every day and then like 24/7, maybe you work with your partner or spouse, and so you're literally around them. I used to work on cruise ships, and we used to say any relationship on a cruise ship was like times it by 5, because you live, you sleep, you breathe, you eat, you everything with that person 24/7 pretty much, apart from if you work in that department with them, then it literally is 24/7. So that's just again to show that, you know, you can live in each other's pockets and have a bit of too much of that person. Whereas if you set them free, they'll feel free, come back to you with more love, you can communicate better, and it is a better relationship. So just food for thought, but I will dive into attachment. It's a heavy topic, so we will get into that at some point. So that's a bit about what mindfulness is, what the perceived problem, I keep saying that, well, I'm used to it, what balance is, what the perceived problem is with this. Now we move on to how mindfulness can help. So it helps us to become aware when we are out of balance. I keep coming back to barometer. That feeling inside of us when we're more in tune to ourselves and we practice mindfulness and we know what's going out of sync and when, feel it in the body, and we can feel stress, we can feel heavy, we can feel just not ourselves. We're too much in our head, which is why I keep coming back to being in the heart. We're grasping at things too much. We've covered this. Too much ego, too much self-cherishing, constantly replaying stories in our head. We're constantly in our heads. So this is the problem. And then what mindfulness can do is we can take a pause. So when we're feeling it in the body, when we're aware that something's not right, we're out of balance in one or many areas of our lives, we can come into our body, take a breath. You might want to put your hand on your heart. I do that to drop into the body, to be more in embodiment. I will use touch to help me because, like I said in the last video, I'm very much in my head. As we all are nowadays, because we're so overstimulated with tech and everything. We just got stimulation all the time going on. So our heads are just engaged constantly. You know, this sense of not being attached gives you a bit of space. It's not attached from the stresses of life. It's non-attachment. It's not detached. It's non-attachment from relationships. At times, I'm not talking all the time here, but at times when we need to be non-attached to relationships, non-attached to gadgets and tech and constant stimulation, non-attachment to work, non-attachment to, again, you might go the opposite and be an over-exercise or something, and that's a massive priority, which is fine, but how out of sync is it? Where it's like with me with the self-care, that took over to the point of pushing people away. Do you do that with exercise? It can be any area of your life. So we pause, we take a breath, we get into the body, we understand what's going on and respond with kindness. We get out of the trance and into awareness. Don't know if you remember a few videos ago now, I think it was the what is mindfulness video, there was a circle with a line through it, and the awareness is above the line and in a trance is below the line. So that's a good analogy to come back to. So get out of the trance, so get out of being in our head and in the trance and get into awareness and move into the body. So hence moving from head to heart. So we've taken a breath, we've understood what's going on, we respond with kindness to ourselves, give us what we need, and move out of our heads to our hearts. We come back to balance and into calm. So what would that look like? What would that look like? There is something here. When we are too loose, we lack motivation. We're not bothered by what we say or do, therefore we do not learn and develop. We miss the lesson. Life's challenges are our lessons to use mindfulness and gain wisdom. The two wings of mindfulness are wisdom and compassion, kindness and the wisdom to put this into practice. An example the Buddha gave: fear invariably makes us do one of two things in response to this uncertainty and unpredictability. Either we tighten up around it too quickly and begin imposing structure and rules on something not as yet defined, or we pretend that what frightens us is no big deal. We stop paying attention and space out. With awareness, we learn the lesson. So that's quite a vital point, really, isn't it? We could ignore all this and carry on as we are and just live our life of this flipping up, flipping down, flipping up, flipping down. We lose relationships, we get stressed and burn out at work, all those things. But this is a lesson. You know, you can choose to use mindfulness to pay more attention and have a conscious life, to learn the lessons that are coming to you. You know, if let's take the relationship for an example again. If you're constantly in repetitive cycles in your relationships, you're in and out of them all the time. The people that you're coming into your life are the same kind of people, bringing the same kind of problems. They're your perceived problems. It's not necessarily the person that keeps coming into your life. This is when you need to take a long, hard look, because the people that are coming in are a mirror to you. So there's a lesson showing up. And if you keep going through the same cycle of experience, you'll be going through the same cycle emotionally. When we tune into mindfulness, we can feel in the barometer, it can feel what's going on emotionally. We can think, oh, here we go again. I had this where I kept having to have the same difficult conversation with a certain person. And in the end, for the third time, all the feelings were the same. You know, if it went on too long, I wouldn't sleep when the time was coming to next see them. So I knew I was going to have this difficult conversation. And I just went, what am I not learning here? What am I not getting? Because I could consciously see the same repetitive pattern. And I'm like, what am I not getting here? And I actually shouted out the window to universe, higher self, angels, whatever. Whoever would listen, basically. That's what I do when I just call for help. What am I not getting here? Please show me the signs to help me put this cycle to bed, you know, and see what comes. And then I started getting synchronistic events happening to show me. And I just had to write it in my journal and get it all on there, because I was like, oh, that makes sense, and that makes sense, and that makes sense. And it helped me break the cycle. So in here, I'm just going to read another little bit here. So before I started a spiritual life, I had another online presence. It didn't really turn into a business as such. I had my second child and COVID hit, so it kind of fizzled out. And I went from this name to this name because it had more spirituality in it. But this, again, like I say, I wrote all this back for that business. So this is a little bit about why balance is a topic for me. So when I was naming my business, I wrote down many words which meant something to me about mindfulness and meditation. I wanted something with mind and body in it, with my physio and massage. I used to be a physiotherapist and do massage on the cruise ships. So with my physio and massage related work. So I had mind and body, essence, peace, serenity, etc., but it didn't quite hit the spot. Then I started to think about the main principles of mindfulness in my own experience. If I could help people with 2 words, what would they be? So after looking at the list, I thought non-judgment, paying attention to the present moment without judgment, which obviously isn't suitable for a company name. The next was balance. When we're out of sync, we're not balanced. And that is when we perceive difficulties. So these could be how we perceive things or people. If we're grasping or attached to things, how we behave, what we say, our intention isn't at peace or balanced, when it will tip the scales one way or another. Balancing the mind and body is also key. So that became the name, Mind and Body Balance. Check it out for yourself. Next time you feel anxious, where is it in your body and what does that do to your breath? How does that relate in your mind? Are you telling yourself those stories again? That's all they are, stories. Are you too tight or too loose? Are you out of balance? So yes, balance is key. And then I started to think about what other key components there are that I've noticed when I've been more mindful. And that comes on to the next page. So the last few videos I've done have been on non-judgment, kindness and compassion, acceptance, and now we're doing balance. So we've done it in a different order. And I came up with these as part of, they can sort of help and they can show you where problems are. So there can be the problems and there can be the solutions. Are you in balance? If not, why not? What's the problem? Why are you not in balance? Hence the opposite's the solution. So your relationships, I don't see enough of my partner. You're out of balance in that relationship. I don't see enough. It's the opposite. When you're seeing too much, it's the opposite. You're not seeing enough of them. So the balance to that would be to try and find a way to see a bit more of each other, or at least when you do see each other, do what you can to make it more quality time. Might be get rid of the tech. Just allow certain times of the day, short periods where you're on tech, put a timer on it. And see if that works to help balance the relationship a bit more. Acceptance. So this was the video 1 or 2 ago, I can't remember. And we briefly spoke about it. Accepting the situation as it is. Can you do something about it? If not, let it go. So your boss or a colleague is giving you a hard time at work. Okay, so that's the problem. That's where it's tipping. You're feeling like you don't want to go into work. There's the barometer. You've got a feeling in your body. Tune into it. I don't want to go to work. Why? Okay, this thing's happening at work. Okay, let's deep dive into that. It's a colleague or my boss. Okay, right. Okay, can I do something about this? Can I have that difficult conversation like I just mentioned? Can I have that difficult conversation with either of these people, your colleague or your boss? If you can, do. If you can't, don't. And let go. So acceptance isn't about resigning. It's about accepting what is. Can I do something about it to change the outcome? Then do. If I can't, don't, and let go. Because if you can't and you keep dwelling about it and you don't do anything about it, you can do something about it but you choose not to, then you're always going to be out of balance. You're not accepting and it's going to keep eating away at you. It's not good for you to be like that. So you either choose to do something about it, see if it changes the outcome, whatever the outcome is, accept that. If you chose not to, or you can't do anything about it, and you go the other route, that's when we have to accept. You've accepted your choice, your decision to not do something about it, or you've accepted the outcome because you can't do anything about it. Drop it, let it go. And let it go in the body. Non-judgment. So non-judgment is, back to the definition of mindfulness, paying attention without judgment. Not judging yourself, not judging others. So if you judge yourself a lot, you likely judge others in the same way. Back to that mirror again. So let's think of one. Non-judgment. If you're constantly judging yourself for the way you look, it's always going to be in your body. Non-judgment, judging yourself. You'll be out of balance with your love for yourself. That's what's going to be out of balance. Your self-love, your self-compassion, the kindness to yourself is out of whack. And that will cause issues. It might cause issues between a relationship. You don't love yourself enough to get intimate with somebody. So, judgment. How can we let go of judgment? We can do these practices. We can do the metta practice that was in the kindness video, I believe. Metta practice and say, may I be happy, may I be peaceful. You can put whatever phrase you want. May I love myself, may I appreciate myself, may I love my body. It's not it's not masking it and having this fake positivity. It's really believing those words, really believing them, and if those tears come, let them come, because you've been holding them in. So if you say, I love my body, you might need to think about love differently. You can love any shape of body, because the body is giving you a vehicle to put your soul into, to live this life. Thank your body for everything it does behind the scenes, subconsciously, for everything it does to keep you out of danger. You know, we even have to thank the ego for that. Love your body, appreciate your body, be grateful for your body. Do the practice, do the work. You might have to just switch what that means to you, what the word love means to you, and get deep with it. It's not superficial. Superficial love, beauty is the eye of the beholder. We all grow old. We're all going to change. Do you then not love yourself when you get older, when your body changes? Do you not love yourself when you're pregnant? That's the issue with a lot of people. A lot of people, our bodies change, our hair might fall out, it goes grey. Right, here we go. Big streak. I'm 44 soon. I've had that since I was 19. I stopped dyeing my hair since my first child, which she's turning 8 now. I just didn't dye it since. I just thought, I'm embracing it. And you know what? The amount of people that have come to me and said, I love that streak. So just embrace you for your uniqueness and what you've got. Love yourself. Love yourself for what you have. Can you walk? Can you run? Can you jump? Can you hug somebody? Can you see people? Can you hear people? Because there are some people that can't do those things. There are some people out there that haven't got that. So can we be grateful for what we have? And if you are so into that mindset of appearance, then you're out of balance with reality. Maybe it's this tech. Maybe we're buying into marketing. Maybe we're buying into what people think we should look like and be like, and all the creams that we need to have to look beautiful. None of that matters. When we get on this spiritual life, we open up, we're on this mindfulness journey, we open up, we get more spiritual, we start asking questions. Is this adding value to my life? Life's too short. Life's too short, believe me. I know. So is what I'm doing, is what I'm believing, adding value to my life? And if not, my scales have gone. If not, get the scales back in balance. So sorry, that was a long-winded explanation about non-judgment, but it's a valid one. Kindness and compassion, again, another video on this. Self-explanatory. Are you being kind to yourself and others? Are others feeling kind around you? Or like when I go into my self-care mode and I am fear of burnout, and I'm in self-care and I'm pushing people away, is that kind to others? Are you then out of balance with other people around you? And what do you need to do? You need to lessen that need for self-care. Keep it, I'm not saying go the other way, keep that need for self-care, but lessen it. Take the grip off it a bit, and then allow yourself to open up to let people in. Similarly, you know, how are you being kind and compassionate to yourself? Are you not giving yourself enough kindness and compassion? Are you not giving yourself enough self-care? Then that's what needs to change. So this is a bit about your perceived problem in these areas, but that it can also be the solution. So I found this really good. And, you know, the acronym BANK, I was a bit like, oh, bank, money with spirituality, mindfulness, doesn't really sit that well. But these precious jewels, bank these precious jewels and reap their rewards for the benefit of ourselves and others. So when we can see this as a strategy to, you know, they're like precious jewels to us. They're a strategy to help in all areas of your life. Okay, so that's a little bit on bank. Where am I up to? We're coming to the end. And I like to do that with a poem. This one is... It's on Poetry for You, for the number 4 and the letter U, Poetry for You. And I think it was just his initial, so he hasn't got a title for this, it's just JF. I'm assuming it's called Balance. How do I find the balance between poetry and people, between discipline and discussion, between hard work and hanging out, between commitment and community, between required reading and relaxation, between smithing words and sharing words, between taking it to the limit and taking it easy, between determination and deep conversation, between being smart and being social, between learning and laughter, between wisdom and wine, between art and arms. I don't know. But it surely is a challenge. In time, I hope I might find the balance. And just my closing statement on that would be to use balance in your bodies as a barometer, but don't worry if we're not exactly in balance all the time. Just be aware of it. As always, I hope this has been beneficial to you. I will put the cards up, hopefully. You know, I'm not techie. I'll hopefully get the cards up on these other videos at the end of this video, so you can go and check those out too, and it all makes a little bit more sense. As always, I appreciate your likes, shares and subscribes. That would be great. Otherwise, have a brilliant day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Much love. Bye for now.